All right. So to start off today for the workshop, we're going to start off with 10 warm-up calls. So we'll take about 15 minutes. So at 4:50, we're going to get started with the workshop. So between now and then, let's make 10 calls each to schedule up our schedule for the week. So today for the workshop, by the way, we're going to be talking about selling sets, how to sell ultimates and signatures. And if you learn how to sell ultimates and signatures, you will sell more homemakers and galleys and everything else. So we're going to make that happen. So let's call 10 people and then we'll get started. Reset. Let's do it. I think I need more markers.
Quickly, I don't know if you know me personally, but I was talking to my friend Ava, I think she's also looking for her recently. I'm sorry, I was looking for two, but did you have a question? Well, Taylor was happy when you know, he said he knows something about them. I'm a student at a relic college, so the business, so right now, I'm a business company, so doing business schools and the residents. I already told you like, so basically, my assignment is sure that it's called Uptime, people have been crazy with the movie, and the majority of them have you heard of that position? Okay, no problem. So you definitely will have a benefit. So do this period of training and presentation. But notice the customer plan has been started. I'm training and I'm training people next couple of years. So I was having like a schedule and something.
No worries.
You're very like soft spoken, right?
Hmm.
Hi, this is Leslie. I'm not sure if you remember me. I was actually from 2 weeks ago. I got your number from Frida. So this is like a kind of good time to talk to each other or do a call back. If you want to do a little like recap of the last time we did. Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, I can put your name on that. You're good. I do okay. Grandkids, yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you have a okay. If you have a schedule for me, is there a good time to do this one? I think you call the people, sounds good. I will talk to you soon, and I think a great rest of the
Yeah, that one works. Oh, next week or later, whatever. Okay. Mhm. All right. We'll go ahead and get started with the workshop. So you guys can put up your phone jam stuff. And pull out your notes. So I know that neither of you have sold a ultimate or a signature before. So our goal is that we're going to walk out of here knowing how to, and that's going to happen very soon. Okay. So I'm going to teach you how to do it more consistently. And if you haven't sold one, then we're going to work on teaching you how to sell your first one. So the first thing that goes into selling larger sets, you gotta know it's got to come from within. So your personal preference matters. So Brooke, what's your favorite Cutco set? Like if you're gonna have one for your apartment, which one do you want? You mean that?
Right.
Now you do, but what would you typically choose? Like a homemaker set, something basic, right? Risa, what about you?
I like the Galaxy.
Galley set. What do you like about it?
I like that it's not as big as the homemaker set, but it still has like a good amount of items.
Yeah.
Variety.
Right. Like the homemaker set's a little bit too big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Excuse me. Brooke, why do you like the homemaker set?
I think it's the perfect set for things that could do for family.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. What about the signature? Is it just too much? Signature is pretty nice.
It's just like
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. It's important that your personal preference set, whichever one is your personal preference is the one that you'll sell the most. You'll be most inclined to sell. Okay, whichever one's your personal preference will be what you're most inclined to sell. For example, Brenner Wood loved the signature set because his mom bought the signature set in his fast start. And so he then, when it came in, he started using it and he thought it was awesome. He was like, bro, it's everything you need. You got all the knives, it's got all this stuff. The Hardy slicer is freaking sick. The cheese knife is super sharp. It's the best set. So guess what he sold the most of? He sold signatures. He sold one ultimate all summer, but he sold 17 signatures. It's a lot of signatures, right? He sold over $40,000. I think he sold like 5 or 6 signatures in 1 week. He sold for over $40,000 that summer. Taylor Gwynn was another representative from that summer. Her favorite set was the kitchenette set. So guess what she sold the most out of? Kitchenettes. Okay. Mine was the galley. So I sold a ton of galley sets. Okay. So your personal preference matters. So what personal preference should you have? You should make the ultimate your personal preference. Like if you were to buy a set of Cutco, you genuinely want the ultimate set. Now that starts in your mind. Okay. Starts with believing like that the ultimate set is the best set that we have. And that it's not too big, it's not overkill, it's not for just rich people. It is the best set that we have, and everybody should have one. That's the first thing. You have to believe it in your mind that the ultimate set is the best set. That's the first step. So you got to make the ultimate set your favorite set so you can sell more. When you start at the ultimate set and you drop down to the signature and the homemaker and the galley set, it's going to allow you to sell more. You also need to raise your average orders. Okay, how do you raise your average orders when selling sets? You gotta make sure that you sell steak knives rather than table knives. It's the first step to raising your average order. Don't sell table knives anymore. Like literally avoid it at all costs. If you have to sell table knives on a homemaker plus 8, okay, fine. Does the steak knife fit in the block? No. Nope. Get them on the side. Basic homemaker with 8 steak knives. Turns a 1664 into like $1,900 order. Same set. They just would rather have the steak knives. Okay. You need to be able to, hey, Roy. If you want to raise your average order, you need to sell steak knives, not table knives. In fact, every single customer that you run into should be more interested in the steak knives than table knives. Who prefers the table knives personally? You do? Yeah, I did too. I thought they were better. I thought the table knives were more convenient than the steak knives. So what did I always sell? Table knives. I never sold steak knives. You know why? I thought it was overkill. Oh, that's just for the rich folk. I thought table knives were they're more convenient. You got to change that. You got to change your beliefs, change your limiting beliefs. The steak knives are the best option. How do you know? Well, use it. Use the steak knife at home. Okay, use the steak knife at home and use the steak knife at home. And if you don't have a steak knife, well, then believe it. Okay, sell steak knives rather than table knives. So what do you like? How do you say that? Whatever you love, your customer will love too. Whatever you're excited about, your customer will be excited about too. For ultimates and signature sets, if you're more excited about them than you are the homemaker, they're going to love it too. So with the table knives and steak knives, here's what I would say. Here's what I used to say. Mrs. Jones, you can get either one. They both cut steak and chicken great. They're both fantastic. My personal preference, though, is the steak knife because it feels more like a traditional steak knife and it just feels better in the hand. And they typically say, okay, I like the steak knife then. That's all you have to say. Mrs. Jones, both cut steak and chicken the same. They're both fantastic. But personally, I prefer the size of a traditional steak knife, and our steak knives are a more popular option. Suddenly, they're more interested in the steak knife. So the way that you think about Cutco, the way that you think about these sets makes a difference. What's your favorite? What would you use? What are you excited about? Because your customers will match that energy. Your customers match the energy. Okay. So for selling sets, let's put some practical things into place. Obviously, those things are kind of a little bit about mindset. The first thing that we want to do in order to sell more sets is plant the seed. Something called planting the seed. You want to make sure that you're asking the right questions. What are some of the right questions that you can ask to help you sell more sets? How often do you cook? What kinds of things do you like to cook? Do you cook because you have to, like to, or love to? Who does most of the cooking in your home? Do you typically invest into your kitchen or your home? Those are some questions to ask for planting the seed. How often do you cook? What kind of things do you like to cook? Do you cook because you have to, like to, or love to? Who does most of the cooking in your home? And do you typically invest into your kitchen or home? Now, leading up to let's see, leading up to the sets, you want to make sure that you set the expectations. So on page 4 in your manual, when you're going on under the features and benefits during that time, some things that you should emphasize and focus on is when you say things like, Mrs. Jones, this makes it more expensive, but it's worth it because. So Mrs. Jones, what do you notice different about the handle? Exactly. That's our universal wedge lock handle. Unique to Cutco products is designed by Thomas Lamb. He studied over 700 pairs of hands to design this handle. So it fits all sizes of hands. It makes it more expensive, but it's totally worth it because it's comfortable to hold. It locks your thumb and forefinger in a perfect grip. It's much more safer and efficient. Just throwing that line out there. It's more expensive. It's not a secret that Cutco is expensive. In fact, we want to make them think it's going to be cost them an arm and a leg. We want them to think that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to take out a loan to buy these knives, but I have to do it because I need these knives. Okay. You want to emphasize that line. This makes it more expensive, but here's the key part. But it's worth it because blank. And you're going to fill in the blank. The double D edge. It makes it more expensive to have such a high quality edge and to design this edge and to cut it into the steel. But it's worth it because your knives will stay sharp longer. They'll cut smoother and they stay sharp forever. The other line that you can say is, oh, that's a high quality material, which is more expensive, but it's worth it. It's a high quality material, which is more expensive, but it's worth it. So you're building the value in each item. You're building the value in each piece. Then under the forever guarantee on page 5, you can say, you can add in, Mrs. Jones, this is an investment into your kitchen, not just for yourself, but for your kids, your grandkids, and so on. Mr. Jones, Cutco is one of the only products you can buy once, use every day, and never have to replace. The product is a proof of purchase you can pass down from generation to generation. So it would be an investment into your kitchen, not just for yourself, but also for your kids, your grandkids, and so on. And this is a great time to tell personal stories of customers who inherited their knives from their parents, their grandparents. So you want to have stories of Cutco owners who've had their knives for 15 or 20 or more years. So you're going to run into customers who own Cutco. You need to ask every single customer, how long have you had it? That way you can tell stories. So in your manual on page 5, that's when you should tell Cutco customer testimonial stories. On page 4 is where you emphasize the fact that it's more expensive, but it's worth it because blank. Does that make sense? So when we're doing the demo, it's all about connecting it to the customer and making an impression. Now, when we get to building value under names and uses on page 6, the goal is that everything makes sense for them. You need to get excited about each piece. It has to make sense for them. It has to make sense for them. You got to get excited about each piece. It has to make sense for them. So what does it mean to make sense? Would they use it once? If they can see themselves using it once, they can see themselves buying it. That's all you have to say. It has to make sense for them. They would see themselves using it. And your excitement makes a difference. Again, they reciprocate what you like. If you say, Mrs. Jones, the spatula spreader is pretty cool, but it's really not that great. What do they think about the spatula spreader now? It's cool, but it's not that great. If you're like, Mrs. Jones, the spatula spreader is the most awesome thing ever. It does everything you could ever imagine. They're going to think it's super awesome and exciting because it's going to do everything you could ever imagine. When you say, Mrs. Jones, the table knives are great. They cut steak and chicken just the same, but I prefer the steak knives because they're more traditional. It's a more traditional feel. Which one do you think they're going to prefer now? The steak knives, right? And they're like, okay, well, I got to at least get a couple of those. It's okay to use words like, Mrs. Jones, this is a must-have. Your kitchen shears, these are a must-have in every kitchen. I think every customer should own Cutco kitchen shears. What do you think they're going to be most excited about to get? The kitchen shears. That's right. If you have pieces, then you will sell it. So it has to make sense. Get excited about each piece. Okay. Now, when we show them the ultimate and signature, it's okay to like do some like to advertise it, to highlight it, but not dig in. Okay. Now with the ultimate set. Now with the ultimate signature and homemaker set, why do we want to show these sets? We show these sets so that our customers will be more likely to buy homemakers and galley sets. Because when you start higher, you end higher. So if you started an ultimate set and you tell them the price of that confidently, and then you drop down to the galley set, it's like this much compared. So it allows you to sell more sets and bigger sets. Now, if you don't know how to show the ultimate set and the signature set, I have a document that you can add into your script. I have a script for you that you can add into your manual. But for them to want to buy an ultimate set, a signature set, one of our bigger sets, it has to make sense for them. You got to present it with confidence, like you sell it all the time. Okay. Here's where the job changed for me. I sold two signature sets my first summer, and that was it. In my first 4 months working here, I sold 2 signature sets and no ultimate sets, a couple of homemakers, and mostly galley sets. Okay. The galley at the time was my favorite. I thought the homemaker was a lot. I thought the signature and ultimate were overkill. Sorry. I thought the signature was like the craziest thing ever. I thought the ultimate was just overkill. I was like, that's just too much. Nobody actually needs that much. I also like the table knives, didn't like the steak knives. Then my second summer working here, I told Dante Reynolds, I said, hey, I want to sell $30,000 for a push. How do I do that? He said, you need to sell ultimate sets and you need to sell steak knives. Don't sell table knives, and you need to sell a couple of ultimate sets in order to do that. I said, dang, okay. So I came home, I studied the ultimate set. I said, okay, what is every piece used for? Would I ever use that? Could I ever see myself using that? Why would I use it? Why would I want it? And I started to realize that the ultimate set wasn't overkill. It was just the biggest and baddest set that we have. And I was intimidated by the price, which is why I never gave it a chance. But the ultimate set is the best set that we sell. Why? Because it has the 10 basic tools to cover the bare minimum. And then you have 9 specialty knives that will be better used and better serviced when a customer needs it. Is a customer going to use the 9 customer recommended pieces every day? No. Are they going to use it every week? Probably not. But they're going to use some of the knives regularly, and it's going to rotate, where sometimes it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. You should write that down. It's better, if you don't know that already. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So I sat down and started studying the ultimate sets, realized that the ultimate set is the best set that we have because it covers all the jobs in the kitchen. It has the specialty knives for the special occasions. It has 12 steak knives. Who has a party and who has a family and hosts their like a family party and needs only like 7 table knives? Nobody. Everybody needs more, right? Most people know. Now, if it's just fitting like dinner night, family dinner night, there's like 5 or 6 of you guys. Okay, not a big deal. But a holiday or an occasion, everybody needs more than 10. So 12 steak knives is a good start. Is somebody taken care of for the rest of their lives? No, they're needing more steak knives. But 12 is a good start. Okay. They'll have enough for their regular occasions, having some guests over, but really they're going to need like 20. They need 2 per person. So Mrs. Jones, what's the most amount of people that you can see yourselves hosting a party for? Okay, so you need at least 1. So if you can see yourself hosting a party for at least 12 people, okay, you should probably get like 20 to 24, just to make sure that you're good. Just to make sure that you're good. I do not. Sorry. Are you okay? Okay. You need to go to like Walgreens or something? Okay. Yeah, we'll be here, so do what you need to do. Okay. What am I talking about? So then I also only wanted steak knives. Or sorry, I like table knives. I didn't want the steak knives, but then I had to go figure out that the steak knives were better. So as soon as I made that switch, I started believing the ultimate set was the best set. And I understood what each piece was used for. I understood why it was used for. I didn't immediately start selling ultimate sets. I just started selling more homemakers and more galley sets. And then I sold my first ultimate set. It was ultimate set with 6 steak knives and 6 table knives. And then the next 2 days later, I sold another ultimate set with 12 steak knives. The next week, I sold another ultimate set with 12 steak knives. And then the next week, I sold another ultimate set with 12 steak knives. Then I didn't sell an ultimate set for a couple of weeks after that, maybe like 2 months after that, something like that. But during that time, I was doing like 3 to 5 appointments a day, and for 3 weeks. And during that time, I was able to get 4 ultimate sets sold with steak knives. That was the number one key reason why I hit my goal of selling $30,000 in those 3 weeks. So in order to sell more sets, you have to set your expectations higher. You can't be afraid of the price. You have to believe in the product, and you just have to sell more. Okay. What you're excited about is what they'll be excited about. But what somebody will buy is when they're excited about something and it makes sense for them. In other words, what does it mean to make sense? It means they would use it. And they could afford it. If somebody can't afford something, then it doesn't make sense for them to buy it. It doesn't make sense for them to buy it because they can't afford it. So what's the solution? Show them something smaller, show them something cheaper, or offer them a better deal. So the closing process is, number one, it has to make sense. In other words, it would fit in the budget. They would use it. You have to present it with confidence, like you sold it before. If they're iffy or on the fence when you ask them, would you like to get this set? Or you can tell they're a little intimidated by it. You can ask simple questions like, can you see yourself using all of these pieces, Ms. Jones? You should ask that every time you show the homemaker, ultimate, or signature set. And if they say no, if they don't say yes immediately, you should ask, can you see yourself using all these pieces, Ms. Jones? If they say no, then say, which pieces can you see yourself not using? And then try and identify, like let's say that I can't see myself using the butcher knife. Do you or your husband ever do any like barbecue, like ribs, brisket, ever cut watermelon, like some things like that? Yes. Okay. So that's what you'd use it for, Miss Jones. Oh, okay. I just don't think I'd use it that often. Yeah, you probably wouldn't use it that often, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so when those times do come around, you'll have something for it. And that's typically enough to get them to say, oh, okay, I get it. You got to make it feel personal. The more ownership they feel over their sets, the better. So you should be saying phrases like, how do you like your set? What color will you get? The more ownership you can make them feel over their set, the better. Right. So how do you like your set, Miss Jones? What color do you want your set to be? Where would you put it in your kitchen? How often would you use your set? You can also personalize the set in a way that they believe that they came up with it. That's their idea. It's important to make sure that you ask questions to make them feel heard and understood. And lastly, the last thing that I want to cover about this is that buying is an emotional experience. So if you want to sell more sets, be excited about selling more sets and be adamant that they're the best option. Doesn't mean that you don't want to sell a 5-piece special, and that's a bad thing or it's a bad decision by Mrs. Jones, but it means buying something is an emotional experience. And it means it's something that's exciting for them. So what makes it an emotional decision, an emotional experience? It's not just getting something for them, it's getting something for their kids and their grandkids. This is going to be an heirloom. It lasts in the home longer than anything else. It's the little things that matter. When you create a personal connection with the customer, they're going to be much more likely to listen to you. And then when you're excited about all the pieces in the set, they're going to be excited about the entire set with you. And when you make it personal and make it an emotional experience or create a positive emotional experience around buying the set, then it's going to be much easier for them to say yes. Because they're not just buying it for themselves or buying it for their kids and their grandkids. And when you have a good connection with the customer, they're going to relate to that. One of my best demos I ever did is I walked into the demo. She said, I'm not buying anything. I'm just doing this just to help you with your scholarship. Straight face, super stern. Okay, cool. So I realize I'm going to have to do a lot of rapport to break this ice, to warm her up. So I start building rapport and she says, hey, let's just get to the demo. I don't want to waste your time. Okay, great. Boom. Positive. No, doesn't phase me. I'm not like, oh crap, dang, okay, sad, sad, sad. I'm like, okay, awesome. Sounds great. I can't wait to tell you about these knives. And I build rapport while I go through the demo, right? I take a moment to stop and ask about this and ask about that. So I end up getting to tell her a lot more about me as a person. She ends up really opening up, relaxing a lot. She opens up. She warms up to me. Show the homemaker, she says no. Show the galley set, she says no. Then I show the essentials plus 5, she says fine, I'll do it. I'd love to. I'm gonna do it for 2 reasons. Number one, these knives seem really awesome. And I guess I could use some new knives because I haven't bought good knives and who knows how long. Number two, I want to help you. I want to support you towards your goals and your dreams. I love this about you. So then 2 weeks later, I get a random text message from this lady. It's a picture with her knife, and a cut up onion. And she's like, just cut my first onion today. Love my knives. Hope you're doing good. Sweetest thing ever. I was able to sell that set because I built a lot of rapport. I made it make sense for them. It wouldn't make sense for her to get the ultimate set. And I would tell her that. I told her that, Mrs. Jones. But I didn't tell her that just to say, hey, by the way, it doesn't make sense for you to get the ultimate set. I would say, would you use all the pieces in the ultimate set? No. Okay. How often do you cook? A couple of times a week, 2 to 4 times a week. Okay. And do you ever host any like occasions? Maybe once a year or something like that. Okay. Ms. Jones, it sounds like the ultimate set isn't your thing. I told her that. You know why? Because now she trusts me that I'm looking out for her best interest. I'm not just trying to close a deal. Ms. Jones, sounds like the ultimate set isn't your best thing. So let's go down to the homemaker set. No, that's still too much money. Okay, let's go down to the galley set. This one might be more your style. I think you're going to like this one. And she did like it. It was just out of the price range. So then we dropped down to the essentials plus 5. And she was like, okay, let's do it. So when you create that experience, you build lots of rapport, you make it make sense for your customers to where you make it make sense to your customers. You make it make sense to your customers. You have fun, you get excited about each piece. And you believe in your mind that the ultimate set is the best set, and there's not a better set. And steak knives are worth it. And you can sell steak knives with any set. They won't fit in the block, but you can sell them with any set. Do the essentials plus 5 with steak knives. Why not? It's a basic set and then 5 steak knives on the side. And you just let them know that. Just add 5 individuals. Yeah. You're in charge. You're like, yeah, you have total freedom. So if you want to sell more steak knives. Believe that the ultimate set is the best set and show that to every customer. If you haven't been taught, which we said, I don't think you've been taught how to do that. There's a script for showing ultimate and signature sets on every demo. So I'll give that to you. So all that to say, that's how you sell more sets. Let me see if there's anything in my notes that I want to add. Okay. Well, let's open it up for questions. We have some time for Q&A.
Like,
Hold on one second. Sorry, Lily's calling me. Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay, we'll take care of it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're good. Take care of yourself. Okay, sounds good. Uh-huh. Fine. It would be on page 10. Yeah. Okay, yeah. What was your question?
Oh, financially.
Okay. Do you have the script? Okay, there's a certain thing. I think I have some extra copies here. Okay, what questions do you guys have?
Kind of like, like sales agency. Like, if you go through like, if you haven't gone through like the stuff like the last modules, like the stuff is got like different. So like when you're trying to, like, it seems like all the stuff that's put in, like we're like, I don't know, what do you do? I don't know.
So how do you make deals? That's where you got to get to know your customer. So what you can do is once you find a set, so for there's a rule, typical number rule is if it's the ultimate set, you can give up to up to $500. Well, I would probably do like $450 worth of free stuff. So if it's the ultimate set, you can give up to $450 worth of free stuff.
Give them how much?
$450 worth of free stuff. That's the buy now bonus. Okay, so that's the buy now bonus is $450 worth of free stuff. On the signature set, it's $350. On the homemaker set, it's $250. So that's a good metric to have. So, okay, how much do I get for free? So Mrs. Jones, I'll give you $450 worth of free stuff. If you for the buy now bonus, if you get the set today, I can give you $450 worth of free Cutco. And then once they say, okay, sounds good, then you go to the accessories and just make a wish list. What are your favorite items? How much could I give you for free? And so you can do a number value. So it doesn't have to be, I'll give you the entertainment pack for free. You can say, hey, I'll give you up to $450 or $500 worth of free product. For the ultimate set, $350 for the signature, $250 for the home. In fact, if you wanted to, I think you could still do more and still be in the orange. If you did like $550 for the ultimate, $450 for the signature, and $350 for the homemaker, I think that's more accurate to like the actual limit of what you should do.
Papers, or have like everything on there.
Yeah.
So do you recommend like, at the beginning of the demo, like before you start getting into like. Just kind of, keep track of like, like when, have you ever did it?
You would be the one who keeps track of the wish list. Yeah, you're gonna write it on a piece of paper, because that will be your job, is like in your demo notebook, in your demos file, you're gonna be the one who's gonna be writing down their wish list and what stands out. So I always wrote down in my demo file, like the things that were the things that that they'd be excited about, basically. Here you go, Risa. So that is the ultimate and signature close. That's where you start with the ultimate and signature on page 10. What other questions do you have? Whether it's selling big sets, little sets, closing deals. Um, if they're kind of on the fence. Yeah, so, Mr. Jones, let me ask you something. Would you use, by Lily? Would you use all of these pieces? If they say yes, then okay, great. Now, if you were to get the set, would you pay in full or pay on the 5 pay? Pay on the 5 pay? Okay. And what color would you get it in? Okay. Now, Mrs. Jones, so if they're, it depends. If they're on the fence, in the sense of, if on the fence means let me buy it later, then you'll do this. If on the fence means let me, like, I'm thinking about it right now, don't say anything. Like, sit in the silence. Let them sit and think. Don't, like, just sit there and be quiet if they're thinking about it. You don't want to oversell. Don't oversell once you've got a deal. Okay, so when they're thinking about it, just be quiet. But if they say, let me buy it later, or let me call you back, let me think about it, we want to think about it. That's when you would ask, okay, let me ask you this. Would you use all the pieces? Okay, if you're gonna get it, or would you pay on the full or pay on the 5 pay? Okay, and what color would you get it in? Okay, Mrs. Jones, and if you don't mind me asking, would this fit in the budget with that, like, or is this pushing the envelope? Would this fit in the budget, or is this pushing the envelope? If they say it's pushing the envelope, then you drop down. If they say yes, it would fit in the budget, then I say, okay, well, I'm trying to hit. I'm trying to you can pick up one of your goals. I'm my fast target. I'm trying to hit $20,000 this campaign. I'm only $5,000 away from my next goal, whatever. You bring up a goal. So, Mrs. Jones, I'm one of the top reps in the office. I'm trying to be #1 this week. My goal is to hit this number. And if we get this sale, then it will help me hit my goal. So if I could offer you a better deal on this option, would you consider getting it today? If this isn't Mrs. Jones, if I could offer you a better deal on this option, would you at least consider getting it today? If they say, well, what kind of deal? Then you say, well, would you rather have free stuff or a discount? And then you tell them to say both. Ms. Jones, would you rather have free stuff or a discount? Say both. And then they'll think that's funny. And then you can offer them the half trade-in, where you give half the table knives or steak knives for free, the other half are not, and then you can give 2 free gadgets. That's the trade-in special. The trade-in special is where you can give where you can do a full trade-in or a half trade-in. Half trade-in is where a half trade-in is where you give half the table knives for free and you give some free stuff. A full trade-in is where you give all the table knives for free and no free stuff. So it's called a trade-in because you're trading in the free stuff, the bonus points, for a discount. So when somebody's on the fence and they're thinking about it in the moment, don't say anything. But if they say, well, let me think about it, or let me call you back, or we'll buy it next week, that's when you say, okay, just so I know, okay, Mrs. Jones, we can definitely do that. Just so I know, would you use all the pieces in this set? If they say no, what are you gonna do? Okay, well, I don't want you to get something that you're not gonna use. So we have a ton of other smaller sets. Why don't I show you these? I think it's gonna be a better option for you. If they say, yes, we're gonna use all the pieces, okay. Now if you were to get the set, do you think you'd get in the pay in full or just do the 5 pay? Just do the 5 pay? Okay, cool. What color do you like the best? Okay, nice. Now, Mrs. Jones, just between you and me, I'm here to sell Cutco, not bankruptcy. So is that price fit in the budget without pushing the envelope, or are we kind of pushing the envelope? Yeah, that fits in the budget. Okay, Mrs. Jones. Well, let me ask you this. If I could give you a super awesome deal on this set, would you at least consider getting it today? I'm working really hard to hit this goal. So if I could give you a better deal, would you at least consider getting it today? If they say no, then drop down. If they say yes, or what's the deal, then you offer them a better deal. Would you like, Mrs. Jones, let me ask you this, would you rather have free stuff or a discount? And then you show the half trade in. And then if that's still out of their price range, then you show the full trade in. And if that still doesn't work for them, they say, okay, well, what a lot of people do is they want to get to this set, but most people start out with something smaller, and you can always upgrade later, and I can still give you discounts later when you upgrade. So let me show you some smaller options. That way you can get started and we can work your way up later. So that's that. So you guys kind of got 2 workshops in one, closing deals and selling sets. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's 5:30, so we're gonna have a phone jam for the rest of the time.